Hello, hello! Welcome back to the channel. I'm Louise and I like to talk all things auditions, especially auditions for drama school. So today is very, very exciting because I am launching a new product on my website. So this is a complete recommended contemporary speech list for people auditioning for drama schools. So I've compiled a big list of all of the speeches that I would recommend people have a look at, use as inspiration, or use the speech themselves for drama school auditions. And on the list are over 70 speech suggestions. So you get quite a lot. And that is available on my website. Very exciting. And in celebration of this, I thought I would do a YouTube video all about a few speeches that I would and wouldn't recommend for drama school auditions and the reason behind them. So we're going to play a little game. We're going to play speeches. Do this or do that. So let me just preface this with saying that if I don't recommend a particular speech, it does not mean that the speech or the play or the writer is crap. That isn't what I mean. If there is a particular speech that I wouldn't recommend or I would encourage you to stay away from, then it is because it is not suitable necessarily for a drama school audition. We need to start wrapping our heads around the fact that an audition is a means to an end. And if we want the end product, then we actually need to cater our approach accordingly. So there will be some texts that will be great for drama school auditions and others that just won't show you to the best of your ability. And that is sometimes down to the writing, or it is down to the fact that you need loads and loads of context. You need to actually know the entire play up until that to understand the monologue itself. And those tend to be the speeches that don't do as well in auditions. So I'm sure that the play is fantastic and the character is fantastic and the writer is definitely fantastic, but it doesn't mean that that speech is suited to a drama school audition. And that's what we need to wrap our heads around. So when I recommend things or I say stay away from it, this is not me criticizing a writer and it's not me criticizing a play. It's saying this is probably a better approach than this. So without further ado, let's kick it off. So the first speech that I want to talk about is Leahs Speech from DNA by Dennis Kelly. I see this coming up a lot in drama school auditions, and it is a speech that I usually recommend people stay away from, mostly because it is repetitive and it doesn't necessarily evolve and change over the course of the monologue itself. Leah's speaking to her boyfriend, who is refusing to speak, so all of the speech is about trying to get him to talk. And that's great, that's got a strong objective, but it doesn't shift and change and move throughout. There's no journey. And that is great in the context of the overall play, because there's lots of different circumstances where Leah's trying to get her boyfriend to speak. So it has the effect because you have the overall context of the play. For drama school auditions though, you want a little bit more variety, which is why instead, if you wanted something like Leah's speech, so the energy and the kind of character, I would actually recommend a speech from a play called Milk by Ross Dunsmore, and the character is Steph. It's the same kind of energy and the same kind of character, but just a lot more variety within the confines of one speech. She explores loads of different things and tries to do loads of different kind of activities within the speech. Because the more variety, the more you get to demonstrate to a drama school audition panel. So I would say stay away from Leah and use Steph instead. The next speech I want to talk about is Tony's speech from Kiss Me Like You Mean It by Chris Chibnall. Again, great play, really, really fantastic characters, but this speech again is overdone. And what it is essentially a big long list. And with lists tends to come a lot of repetition. There's very limited amounts of things that you can do with a big old list. And although there are varieties within the examples in the list, it doesn't actually venture more beyond that. Again, the speech is great if you have it in the context of the play, but for drama school auditions, you want to have a little bit more going on. There's no reflective element to this speech. It is all, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you can't do much more with that. Which is why I recommend Scott's speech from Love Steals Us from Loneliness by Gary Owen. Again, it's the same kind of context of basically saying, hey, I love you. I want to do all of these things with you. So it has the same kind of energy as the Kiss Me Like You Mean It speech, but it isn't just all in list form. There are active elements and reflective elements within that. along with the injection of comedy. So if you're currently exploring the Tony speech from Kiss Me Like You Mean It and you want something that's got a little bit more going on, Love Steals Us from Loneliness is definitely my recommendation. Now to move on to some classical speeches. So yes, we're always kind of like, Shakespeare's a genius and he wrote some fantastic stuff. And you're right, he totally did. But still, there are some speeches that I would recommend above other speeches for the purpose of a drama school audition. So the first speech that I want to talk about is Helena's speech from A Midsummer Night's Dream, which begins, "Oh spite, oh hell." Again, a really popular speech and one that a lot of people bring into auditions. And that's totally fine. It does come up a lot though. And one of the big things about Midsummer Night's Dream in general is that pretty much all of the text is in rhyming couplets. And this speech especially really falls into this. And as an actor who potentially doesn't have any training behind them at the moment, might be falling foul of the rhythm and the rhyme structure, which means that it's making a lot of what you're doing predictable and you're only playing the rhyme as opposed to the intention within the actual text itself. Along with the fact that she's only really playing one thing. Of course you can find variety within it, but basically all she's doing is scolding these two guys. And you want to be able to find a bit more of a roller coaster, some more peaks and troughs, some more colour within the speech. Which is why I recommend the same character, so stick with Helena, but instead choose her first speech, which begins with, "How happy some or other some can be." This speech has so much more going for it. There's loads more variety, loads more colour, and she's actually speaking to the audience. She's using them as a confidant. So there's lots of kind of thinking and working out that she's going through, along with actually getting the audience to help her. There's realizations and epiphanies. There's just loads of stuff to do with this. So if you like the Oh Spite Oh Hell and you like the character, then think about her first speech instead. And sticking with the classicals, let's take a look at Edgar's speech from King Lear. Now this speech is actually on some speech lists for some drama schools, and there are definitely reasons for that. They're looking for you to do particular things with it, but I find that this speech has a lot more pitfalls and a lot more, it can expose you a lot more than other speeches in a negative way. So this is the speech that begins with, "I heard myself proclaimed and in the happy hollow of a tree escaped the hunt." So Edgar's on the run, he's fearing for his life, he's thinking that somebody's going to do him some real harm, and he's devising a plan to escape, to disguise himself in order that he stays alive. What this speech does though, when he gets to the section about how he's actually going to disguise himself, a lot of people fall into the pitfalls. There's lots of description about what he's going to do. So I'm going to elf all my hair, all of that business, along with the fact that he does the impersonation of a new voice that he's going to adopt through the poor Turley God, per Tom. What this does is, yes, if you get it right, it can be some fantastic character choices and big bold interpretations of the text, but if you miss this, then it can be very exposing. So if you're looking for a speech that has really high life and death stakes and the pursuit of actually trying to get yourself out of that situation, then I would actually take a look at Arthur's speech from King John. So he's basically talking to someone that he thinks is a confidant, thinks he's a mate, who is basically coming at him with a big hot red poker to try and poke his eyes out. So the stakes are really high, and he's trying to convince this guy not to kill him, not to do him any harm. So again, it's got loads and loads going on, but with the benefit of not having to put on a funny voice and not having to do loads and loads of crazy physical stuff. So in this context, I would actually recommend against Edgar and recommend in favor of Arthur. So like I said at the beginning, these recommendations are not based on whether I think a play or a character or a writer is good or bad. It is based on how you want to cater your approach to a drama school audition and what texts will serve you to do so. And also, these are my own opinions. These are, as an audition panel, what I like to see coming in the room. It doesn't mean that if you come in with a speech that I don't like so much or I wouldn't recommend, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna write you off and say, no, I'm not going to send you through to a recall round, or I'm not gonna give you a place at drama school, because that's naive. That's a silly thing to do. All I'm saying is that there are texts that will serve you much better than others. You want to take away as many hurdles as you possibly can when it comes to drama school auditions, and your text choice, your speech choice, is part of that. So make sure that you are considering your choices carefully. Now, if you're at a little bit of a loss and you don't know what speeches to choose or even where to look, then I would definitely recommend getting hold of my contemporary speech list. You can find it on my website and all of the links are below. There are over 70 recommended speeches on there. It's a combination of kind of lighter speeches and more dramatic speeches. It's a combination of speeches that tend to be quite popular in audition rooms and others that are a little bit less, but ones that I would say would actually give you loads and loads of material, loads of variety, and loads of stuff to do within the audition. So if you're looking for new repertoire for the upcoming audition season, then I highly recommend getting your hands on it. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, then make sure that you click like and that you subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any comments or any questions about what we went over today, then pop them below and I will definitely get back to you. But until next time, thank you so much and bye!